President Cyril Ramaphosa's plan to address social and financial distress has been largely welcomed. Weeks before his announcement, civil society and non-governmental organizations had already been petitioning for an increase in social grants and called for the president to deal with alleged corruption in the distribution of food parcels during the lockdown. Now, social grants have been increased and food assistance in the form of vouchers and cash transfers will be rolled out countrywide. Let's get more information. Tsotsi Mamela, the CEO of the South African Social Security Agency, or SASSA, is joining us now via Skype. Tsotsi, thank you. Thanks for being with us here on the program.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
Before the president made the announcement, what was the reception from communities on the ground regarding their needs and circumstances?
I think what became clear was that the lockdown was creating quite a huge challenge for people in terms of lack of sustenance. And the sense that we were getting was that even though we were focusing only on those clients that we could provide support to, the need was huge. That was one. Secondly, there still continues to be lack of coordination in terms of who does what on the ground. And sometimes, unfortunately for us, we then get blamed in terms of not ensuring that social distance is observed on the ground, irrespective of who it is that is actually providing support. Yeah. So for me, those were the two big challenges that we're having.
You know, but the challenges and the criticism come hand in hand because there has been a lot of criticism over the distribution of food parcels, applications as well for them, and the time frame before they're actually delivered. How are you addressing the gaps in the current system?
What we have done is we have changed the process of application. For now, what we do is when people call in, we have our call center is now 24 hours. But the volumes are huge, and as a result, the calls are falling over because when you look at it, we normally have 2,000 calls per day, but now we have 40,000 calls over 24 hours. So what we are now doing is to automate the process. And it's clear that even with the process automated, there's still going to be need for support on the ground. And the intention is to work with civil society organizations on the ground in instances where people cannot on their own be able to use the process that we're going to put in place. And in terms of the new process, what people are going to do, that is in the next 10 days, because we had to make sure that we implement this new process. So for now, we continue with the call center. But in the next 10 days, we are then going to use the vouchers and not use food parcels. And the key is going to be anybody that actually logs in on the automated process will have to give us basic information. And with that basic information, we then will be able to approve or disapprove the application. The other challenge that we're experiencing is the fact that even some of the people that should not be applying are the ones that are actually calling in and therefore clogging the system. I mean, for example, we had a situation where one says, I want to be able to give people food in the community. Can you please give me food so that I can go and pass it forward? And it's critical to explain to people that, please, if you are not in need or if you are not one of our targeted beneficiaries, don't call in because you just make it difficult for those that should be reaching us, for them to reach us.
Okay, that's a good, 40,000 calls, wow. I mean, this is huge. And now, on top of everything, we heard the president announcing that 250,000 food parcels need to be handed out, or are going to be handed out in the next 2 weeks. And I think this again falls under your domain. How are you going to manage this? You know, do you get consulted before these announcements are made, or do you hear them when we hear them?
The 250,000 food parcels that the president is talking about is not going to be done by us. It's going to be at provincial level by DSD in the provinces, because DSD is also a provincial competence. It's not going to be done by us. With us, we're going to focus on the cash. The idea is that we use a number of processes with regards to the 350 that the president announced. And I think it's important to give context. We got 15 billion in terms of the amounts that the president spoke about. 13 billion is going to go towards the current existing clients who are going to get all different amounts. And the key thing is to explain, particularly for the child support grant, the initial amount is going to be 300 rands per child. But subsequent to that, and it's more because we don't have the system to do it at 300 rands, at 500 rands per caregiver now. So it's going to be very important for those that are getting child support grant to understand that on month 1, if you have one child, you will get 300 rands for that child over and above the 440 that you are receiving. On month 2, if, for example, you've got 2 children, you're not going to get 300 rand in addition for 2 children. You're going to get 500 rands for the caregiver, and the child will revert back to the 440. And I think it's very important to clarify that.
Very important, because I think that needed major clarification. A lot of people not too sure still how this is going to work. So this will just be automatically added onto the beneficiaries, correct?
Yes, and this is an easy part in terms of our work, because we already have systems to be able to do that. And we've already separated the files between the files of persons with disabilities and the elderly, and the files of the single mothers that actually get a child support grant.
What about the 350 rand for the unemployed? Does that come under you, or is that moving somewhere else? Will that go to social development?
That is coming to us, but we're going to automate the process.
How is it going to work? Because that is a big one, and people, we've been flooded ourselves with requests as to, who qualifies for unemployment, what are the criteria, and how do they collect it? Let's talk to that.
Okay. In terms of the criteria, people are in the next few days. We've already finished building the front end, and the front end is whereby when you qualify, you will use a USSD or a WhatsApp, and you are going to be prompted in terms of what is the information that is going to be required that will assess as to whether you qualify. You will have to indicate, if you are not employed and you say, I'm not employed, you will tick, I'm not employed. If you're not receiving UIF, if you are not on NSFAS, because the NSFAS students are still continuing to get their benefits, are you as a South African, and obviously once you've indicated just those 4 issues, and you say yes or no, the queue will then take you whether you are on the positive side, or which means you are approved, or you are rejected. So it's going to be automated, which will make it easier. And then the second phase will be you indicate as to whether you want a voucher, or you want to be paid by cash, or you want to be paid through, and by cash could be in your bank account or using mobile. So that's the back end that we're now building to make sure that people can have a choice. Because I think for us to say people should just get a food parcel is not good enough. We need to give people options and make sure that people can be able to actually buy what they need closer to where they are than actually going to retailers.
Is this operational? I know you say you're working on the back end. I mean, do you have a WhatsApp number we can give up now, or are you still building these systems?
We're still building. We've just finished building the front end, and we're finalizing the back end. And as soon as we know what the decision is, we'll then be able to communicate. So for now, we continue to do what we've been doing, despite the high volumes.
All right. So the 350 rand, that is going to come out soon. It will be a WhatsApp number that the unemployed can apply for. When we talk unemployed, are we talking recently unemployed? Like, for instance, I lose my job today. Can I apply for that? Or is this for people that have been unemployed for a long period of time? I mean, who does this actually specifically apply to?
It's the key target that the president was talking to is actually the people that are recently not able to get work because of the shutdown. But some of the companies have shut down because of the pandemic. So those would be the targeted people. It doesn't exclude those. So the numbers that we're looking at is about 5 million people that actually have been impacted by the pandemic. Okay.
You talk to these food vouchers and cash transfers. As you say, it would be perhaps cash transfer to your mobile number, like an e-wallet, for example, and then the voucher would be How would that be? Would that be something that you can pick up somewhere? Do you go to a store? You can use it at, a big retail store. How do the food vouchers work? Let's perhaps get clarification there.
Yeah, in terms of the process that we're looking at is that the voucher would also come to your phone, because we don't want people to be picking up anything from anywhere. So it will also be on your phone. And in the next 3 days, we should know exactly how we're going to plug it in to make sure that people have got a choice to shop close to where you are and be able to go anywhere else. And we're also engaging the retailers so that we can make sure that their systems are able to cater for this. But the key thing is for us to make sure that over time we build the economy in our communities so that our people, even in the future, not only for now, don't always have to travel far, and make sure that the township economy and the village economies are built. But this we have to do in partnership with everybody else.
I'm stealing time from the news because this is vital information that we're getting from you. So again, thank you so much for your time. I just want to ask you, in terms of the increases and the money that the president has announced that many beneficiaries are going to be getting, if they already are on your systems, is this from this month, or will this be from next month? Is there clarity there?
Yeah, it's going to be for the next pay run,
which will be in May.
Which will be in the May. From the 4th of May, it will be the increase for the elderly and the persons with disabilities. And on the 6th, with the child support grant, they will receive 300 rands per child. But post that, it will be actually the caregiver that will receive 500 rands, and not necessarily per child.
Okay, and just in terms of just a final question, SASSA has, of course, we've seen the issues regarding the alleged corruption in the distribution of food parcels. Do you have an update for us on those investigations?
We actually have not been affected by the issue of said corruption on the ground. The only area that has come to our attention is in one area in Mpumalanga, and we were busy doing that investigation. But we haven't been affected by major corruption in our space.
All right. Again, last one, because I know we're going to be inundated. This unemployment, I know you're saying the systems are taking a bit of time. What day? When can I ask that we're going to receive the information of when people can start applying for that? Will it be early next week, perhaps the weekend?
It will. The idea is for us to start the process as soon as possible, but to make sure that we run it after the pay run, which therefore means that in terms of implementation, it will definitely be after the first pay run, which is after the 8th.
Okay, the 8th of May.
Yep.
Tsotsi, thank you for talking to us. Tsotsi Momele is the CEO of the South African Social Security Agency, that's SASSA, talking to us about more relief and the social relief that was announced by the president on Tuesday. I hope this has helped you to get a little bit of clarity on how it's going to work and how it's going to assist you going forward. I know it's late for news, 4 minutes, almost 5 minutes past.